Thank you so much for being here today. This is Property Talk with KMO. Obviously, KMO being my name, Kudrat Majisala Olo Saleh, under business, a property business training. So I'm glad you're here. I have a few questions. I've met you on a few occasions, and we normally talk about business, but not in so much depth in terms of having the one-to-one discussion we're going to be having today. First of all, I know you, but I would like to know more of you. So, who is Jack, and how did you get started in property?
Jack, one thing I learned a long time ago, that they gave me a name and then they gave me a title. The business gave me a perception, but all in all, they forgot who I am. Someone who's trying to remain humble, someone who's a family man, complete focus as family. And property is just a means and a path and a tool to give everyone, including myself, a good life. And I think we tend to sometimes forget that. But yeah, just trying to remain humble and do the best I can.
That's nice. Can you think as far back as your first property deal?
Yes. So I bought my first buy-to-let in 2003.
Wow.
I still remember I didn't even have a car.
That's good.
I went on a coach from London to Birmingham. I used to live in Birmingham, but then I'd moved to London just a couple of months before that. So I took a coach to Birmingham. I went to see one in Walsall because that's where I lived for nearly 2 years. And I still remember that day so vividly. There was about 20 plus people waiting alongside me. Very hot property market back then. I was the first one walking in and first one walking out with an offer.
Wow.
And I asked the agent, how do I put an offer? Didn't know nothing about property. And he said, well, just go to our office and put an offer in writing. I did that. I gave them an asking price. And I took the coach back the same day, came to see my broker and my solicitor, everything done on buses. And within 2 months of that, I had my first buy-to-let.
Wow. So you knew what you want. So when you got in to view the property, you knew that you wanted this property and you just went on with it?
Not really. It was more accidental. So if I was to look back at the decision, yes, initially the decisions that you take in any business or for that matter property, they're not going to be best decisions, right?
Yeah.
They're just decisions that eventually, hopefully, if you keep optimizing, might take you to really good decisions at later stages. So, it was a decision I took, 2003, I think I sold that property in 2018, if I can remember.
Wow.
And it wasn't a great decision, but it was a decision that took a direction, if I may say so.
And you learned from that as well?
Oh, yeah, learning massively. I mean, I took the property, I realized that I was told you can achieve X amount of rent, and I didn't. I barely got 70% of that, right? And then I realized a whole bunch of other things behind the scene on, so on and so forth. So eventually I remember I had one tenant that stayed in there for like 7-8 years, absolutely no problem. And then eventually after that, the next tenant that came in damaged the property by about over £10,000.
Oh,
so
my.
A whole bunch of, the whole journey of learning through it.
I suppose the bit of the damaging of the property is not usually shared with a lot of people starting out in property, saying,
yes.
I think they focus more on the good and the money side of things, as opposed to that other side as well. Because I always tell people it's not a get rich quick scheme, and there are ups and downs in property. So again, I bet that you weren't told about that until you actually...
No. Absolutely knew nothing about property. In fact, I still remember the nearly £15,000 that I needed to buy that property. Off of that, £7,000 was from a loan, a personal loan.
Wow.
So the only money that I had was about £8,000. So yeah, I mean, back in the days, there was not as much due diligence, or you didn't need that many documents and a whole bunch of
Yeah.
things that are asked these days. They ask these days. Buy to let has eventually turned out to be not the best investment anymore these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first one.
But what are your key strategies now? What do you do now? Obviously, I believe you've progressed in what you're doing and you're more sophisticated in your strategy. Can you
Yes,
share with us what you're doing now?
yes. So at the moment, we have converted the whole business into a franchise now.
Okay.
We are at number 15, so we've sold 15 franchises so far. What we do cover is very specific. We cover planning gain, so we don't actually develop in most cases. Not in all cases, but in most cases, we don't develop. We only do the planning gain part, and then we sell that.
Okay.
And on the other side of the coin, we manage commercial properties. That's hotels and blocks.
Wow.
So at the moment, I have 4 commercial properties under me. We have agreed 2 more, making it 6. So hopefully in about a month's time, we should have 6 commercial properties under us, including 4 hotels and 2 blocks, as in holiday let blocks.
Okay.
So all in all, 30 flats, 1 30-bedroom hotel, 1 17-bedroom hotel, 2 10 beds. That's just the commercial side. That does not include the buy-to-let portfolio that we have. And then we are growing the franchise. We are also in the middle of validating a tech product
Wow.
that we are working on. It's a SaaS product. It's a software as a service product that we're working on. But yeah, at the core, very specific with what we do. We don't do, the VR strategies. Yeah, it's one that comes out when we make money, but it's very rare these days. It's more just planning gain and commercial investments.
That's great. And that's interesting because you're not with the pile doing the buy-to-lets and stuff. Interestingly enough, I need to ask, your hotels, are they in London? And if they are, how do you see
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not. I was going to ask about the 90-day rules and how we mitigate that, because I know that is a factor holding a few people back.
So first of all, they're not in London. Investing in London in a hotel is not really a good decision. Okay, most people who buy hotels in London, there's 2 kinds of people who buy hotels in London. One, who want to just park money. That means they have money, they don't know what to do with it. They don't need to make money from it. They just need to park it, right?
Yeah.
And the second kind of people who will buy a hotel in London is owner operators. That means they'll buy the hotel, they will run it themselves, and they will make money from it. They live in it themselves as well. Okay, so they save that money of their residential, space or whatever. Otherwise, investing in London's in a hotel, hotels in London is not worth the money. Like, you're not going to make your money. You're not going to make a lot of money out of it. The 90-day rule, most people that I know, the way they are overcoming that challenge is by just working with corporate companies. So if you have direct bookings and working with corporate companies, that's the only way to overcome that. There is actually no other way. Not that at least I know of. Okay.
Yeah. Except you go via the planning application route, right?
Yes. Which is complicated. It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Again, don't get me wrong. People who are serious about what they do and the way they do things, they many of them are already doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, when you look at the overall business model, after paying the government and after paying the kind of salaries that we're paying these days, are you still going to be profitable?
Yes.
And the answer in most cases is a no.
Yeah, or you're just about break even, isn't it?
Or you're just about break evens. And then you start looking at, is it worth me investing all that time and money into building a business that really is not going to generate nothing for me, but for the government?
Yeah, I agree with you. So could I take you back to your franchise?
Yeah.
For people listening that might be interested in doing that, how does that work, please?
We keep it very, very simple, right? We generate the leads for the franchisees.
Okay.
They make initial contact with the landlords. They come back. We create an appraisal together, we negotiate the deal together, we close the deal together. So as a franchise, we do nearly 90% of the work. We even bring money for the right deals.
Okay.
Okay. So we practically do nearly 90% of the work for the franchisee. They do need to do the 10%, which is basically connecting with the landlords. We even help negotiating the deals as well.
Okay. And could that be applicable to someone just starting out in property, or must the person have experience in actually property, or do you hold their hands, so to speak, if they wanted to do that?
We hold their hands. However, if you are not already serious about it in full-time property and not an entity, as in a registered limited company, we can't give you the franchise. Okay, because the reason for that is very simple. We are no more a B2C, if I may say so. We are a B2B. So when the challenge is, when we deal with B2C, most people are just not serious. It's when they have created a company, they are doing it full time, they're serious about it. They're not like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, I'm going to dip my hands into property and so on, and then I'll take the franchise. It doesn't quite work. So we would only, for anyone to qualify for the franchise, they have to be serious and full time into property. If they're not, they simply just do not qualify. Other than that, we can hold their hand.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. They have to be in it to want to do the work and want to win as well. Awesome. Awesome. So how do you keep yourself accountable? Because you have so many things you're doing, and I know you have a large team. So how does that work in terms of your structure? So that people out there that are thinking of scaling can actually learn a thing or two from you.
Here is, I'll give you a couple of things, right? One is, we have a very, very good ecosystem in place, right? So when I say ecosystem, that's for commercial management, that's hotels and blocks, as well as a very good ecosystem for planning gain deals, right? So we bring the expertise on the table. We have a team that works behind the scene. So that's just there. How do I keep myself motivated? I mean, Kadir, you probably know this already. I came as an immigrant with literally nothing in my pocket. So I'm very self-driven. I don't have to, I don't need someone to wake me up and say, well, you need to get something done. I would be up at the time that I want to, normally anywhere between 7-8 o'clock in the morning, drop kids off to school, come back, have a cup of tea, and then I'm on it pretty much all day long, right?
Wow.
And then that also means that I keep a balance. For me, money is a tool to live a good life. Money is not the only thing that I need to live a good life. It's only in essence, it's a 25% of the equation in your life, in our life. It's supposed to be, that's how it's supposed to be. Anyone who gives it any more importance than that, or think that money is anything more than a tool to live a good life, is just going to really have a bad life, right? So it just remains like that. So I would do my work, give the time to the family, give time to myself. I literally signed up yesterday to a personal trainer. Even though I exercise regularly and I have a fair bit of knowledge, I've still gone and signed up with someone to gain more knowledge, have more depth into my personal physical strength and muscle gain and so on and so forth. But really, if you're not self-inspired, self-motivated, business is not the best thing to be in. I've observed that. You'd rather be in a structured job and in a corporate position where you can make more money if you're not self-driven.
It can be a lonely road sometimes as well.
It can be,
So you need to be able to be self-driven, be able to get out of bed without anyone pushing you to do that.
That is true. That is true. And not just that, but your phone ringing at 12 o'clock at night and you still have to answer that call. If you're not self-driven, you're likely going to get annoyed. Even I get annoyed.
Or your partner might be annoyed as well. Please throw away the phone.
Exactly. But if you're not self-driven, business is not the right thing to be in.
Definitely, definitely. And how do you handle the pressure of business in terms of, obviously, we have good days, we have bad days. You have days, for example, where you get calls midnight. I remember some of my apartments back in the days, I was called very late at night that something was happening, naughty people were there and all that. So, and you're thinking, oh my God, you call the other person to go there, they're not answering, so there are situations whereby you're thinking, oh, is this really worth it? So, how do you handle those days?
So here is how I deal with it. Right? Here is two ways I deal with it. One is you always ask yourself, is this going to matter in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
And I can assure you that the answer to 99.9999% of the situations is a no.
No, yeah.
Right? And another thing that I do is I always look at myself and the situation as a third person, right? Wow. Human beings are the only ones capable of looking at themselves and the situation as a third person.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you start to look at life in a more lighter way.
Yeah.
You're going to have bad days and good days.
Yeah.
If for every small fluctuation you're going to react, you're just going to have a very negative psychological life. I don't have a reaction to, I don't react to most things. That's 99.99% of the things. There's no reaction. It's just a response to, okay, what can I do to solve this problem, right? As entrepreneurs, we get shoved up with all the troubles in the business.
Yeah.
And if you react to everything, you're never going to be able to survive. So I don't quite react. It's more like responding to a situation saying, what can I do to solve this? Is it going to matter in 5 years' time? And then you look at yourself and the situation as a third person and say, well, does it really matter?
Yeah.
You lost 5-10 grand here and there. You lost, maybe you made a bad deal and you lost 50 grand here and there. Yeah. You had a leak in your roof, or your plumber never turned up for a week and you can't rent the property out. Or all of this is minor.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is minor.
Yeah, that's true. And I think maybe there's some decisions you make, you kind of learn from it, because sometimes you make decisions and think, I want that deal, and then maybe it doesn't go the way you want it to do, or I suppose you just learn from it and then you move on. I suppose.
I am in a dilemma today, like right this moment, I'm in a dilemma of, do I agree to a deal which is a 2.4 million purchase price? And I can't, like, even right now, I do not have a very clear answer to it. And my meeting is in the next 4 hours.
Oh my.
Okay. So I have read all the data. I've done most of the due diligence that I need to do. There's still some gray areas. Again, if I have all the answers, the deal will be gone by then. You can't make a decision when you have all the information. Yeah. So I have to make a decision when I have, I probably have about 60% of the information. I normally tend to take a decision when I have more than 70% of the information. So now I have to make a decision between now and the next 4 hours. I might be able to get some more information by then, and so on and so forth. So, again, is this going to matter in 5 years' time? Maybe, may not be. The deal is in a region where the prices are likely going to double in the next 10 years. Yeah. If it's 2.4 million deal, the property is going to be worth about 5 million in 10 years' time. Yeah, it can be a life-changing deal, right?
Yeah.
But again, if I don't do the deal, let's say I don't get the deal, I don't do the deal, is this going to break me? The answer is no. No. Yeah. So again, this dilemma, these questions, these things come all day long in any person's life who's running a business, and you just take one step at a time. It's no big deal. I mean, if I don't get this deal, or if I don't sign up this deal, the likely is I'm probably going to have another one lined up in the next 2-3 months.
Yes. Yes.
So. Yeah, it's none of this matters. The only thing that really matters is, are you safe? Are you healthy? Is your family safe? Is your family healthy? And then have you skilled up enough?
Yeah.
Either professionally or personally, that you can make, that you can make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And that feeds into my next question in terms of personal development. development in the profession? Obviously, we know, you need to keep learning. If you're not learning, you're dying. How do you take that, and what is it that you ensure you do, in terms of growth personally and in your business?
That's a good question. I'll give you an example, a funny one actually. I'll tell you a story. So I took I took a course from someone very, very, very well known in the industry, prolific, very prolific in the industry, and the guy is 100 on 100 on professional skills,
Yeah.
and a 0 on 100 in personal skills, as in interpersonal skills, right?
Yeah.
And so it just, my observation is that whatever you do in life, either you do a combination of personal, professional. If you do no professional development, you're not going to make money. It's very, very simple.
Definitely.
If you do loads of personal development and no professional, then you may or may not make little money.
Yeah.
But if you do all professional development and no personal development, you may make money, but you're just not going to have a great life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you keep a balance between the two, in fact, there was a research done by Napoleon Hill Foundation where they said 80% of your success depends on your interpersonal skills. That's your professional, so your personal development. Yeah. And I do believe that, right? If you skill up in terms of your interpersonal skills, your leadership skills, your persuasion skills, your strategic skills, and then you skill up in your professional skills, that's your technical skills in your business.
Yeah.
Then you're going to do really well. It's a whole combination. The way I do it is regular trainings, regular mentoring, regular courses. I've got nearly 600 plus titles in my Audible. I'm always listening to audiobooks. I'm always listening to podcasts. Yeah. I'm always listening to someone. I'm always, like I said, regularly taking trainings, either like there's a whole range of things, right? You've got the spiritual side, your social side, your emotional side, your physical fitness, your financial fitness. You got to keep training yourself every step of the way. And I do that regularly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still have my biases and I still have my own limitations in some things, but you keep working on it. You keep working on it, right? You focus on your strengths, you delegate your weaknesses or your limitations, but then you keep working on your limitations. That's the game.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. I agree with you totally. I know getting that balance in your personal and business and all your skills is very important. I was going to talk about Property Entrepreneur Network. Can you tell us a little bit about that for those that don't know?
Yeah. So initially, Kadir, we started as a social platform, right? It was the first property social platform. There was nothing in the world. And this was 2017. So we introduced lots of social features. You could go and upload your properties and have investors call you directly for free. At one point, we were getting nearly 1/3 of the traffic of what Zoopla and Rightmove was getting.
Wow.
That's how much traffic we were getting. This is through the COVID period. But then we got to a point where some of the ways we were monetizing the platform, they were not quite working well. So we ended up taking lots of strategic different directions, getting to a point of where we are now, which is now really a franchise. So even as a property franchise, we are very strategically positioned. There's no one else in the country doing what we are doing, the way we are doing it, the ecosystem that we have, which is just focused on planning gain as a lump sum, as in you can make lump sums. And then on the other side, we do hotels and block management, which gives you the daily cash flow. There's literally no other franchise in the country who's doing it the way we are doing it. And we have a very, very good ecosystem in place. Like literally, I can sit down with a hotelier, I can sit down with a block management company, and I can, within 10 minutes, I can almost guarantee any hotelier on a short-term rental space that I can increase your profits by about 10% as a bare minimum, maybe even up to 50% in some cases, depending on how they're managing it. But 10% is like a bare minimum. So I can walk into a central London hotel. Let's say they're turning over 100 million. I can sit down and say, well, I can improve your revenue by about 10%. Imagine that's 10 million pounds.
Wow.
Okay. Or for that matter, I can walk into a block management company, like let's say a rent-to-rent company, and I know a few of them, one of them managing 1,200 units. We are trying to arrange a meeting with them. If they're turning over, let's say, 100 million, we can increase the revenue by about 10% minimum.
Yeah.
Right? That's how good of an ecosystem we have. At the same time, the planning gain side as well, we've got a good ecosystem where we're generating the leads for the franchisees. We are closing some decent deals. We've got a good pipeline, not just for ourselves, but for our franchisees as well. And it's a very simple, like, it's very easy to create complicated things. It's very difficult to create something simple. What we have is very simple. And for anyone who will be looking at PEN and the franchise, it's just so simple. We cover daily cash flow, and then we cover lump sums. And that's how your property business needs to be. I've been in the industry for 23 years now. And yeah, just there's no other better way that I can think of, at least.
So the key is keeping it as simple as possible.
It is, yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I would like to know, out of curiosity, can you just enlighten us on one of your bigger deals? Which one can you refer to, and how did you go through that? What were your ups and downs and learnings from it?
I'll give you a couple. I'll share with you a couple of deals so you can see through. One was we took an option on a really large detached house in Wembley.
Okay.
We only paid £1 for it. Delayed completion 24 months later, eventual agreed price 1.1 million. We ended up getting planning. We applied for planning. We ended up getting planning for 8 units. That's 6 flats and 2 semis. We did not develop the site. We sold the option without exercising the option for 1.7, which means we made a £600,000 profit by investing only £20,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Another deal that we did was we ended up getting a hotel, about 30-35% discounted from the market value. Reason was COVID. They were desperate to sell. They were struggling to really do anything with the hotel. As soon as the COVID finished, they were old school. They were not using the technology and the online platforms and the OTAs and so on and so forth. We ended up getting a 30-35% discount. We ended up doing a major refurb on the property, spent about £65,000 on it. And now it's a 31-bedroom operational hotel. It's under our own management. We for some period of time, we actually gave it out on a lease to someone for 2 years, but then we've taken it back, and now it's under our management, and it's doing really well. So yeah, that's just 2 deals that we did, which any of these 2 deals can be life-changing for someone, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
Were there any tricky bits? Were there any takeaways?
Loads of tricky bits. Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes people look at the numbers and
they don't look at the tricky bits.
Yeah, the trick. Yeah. So if you could share just one,
I'll share with you one on each. Right.
Yes.
On the planning gain one, negotiation is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Okay. Because once you get the negotiation. Yes, even getting planning is not easy. I'm not saying that's easy. What I'm saying is negotiation is really the hard part, because you do need to understand where that landlord is coming from. What does he actually want? What is he going to actually sign on? What are you going to give away, and what are you going to keep for yourself? That's the hardest part. And when you look at the hotel deals that I'm talking about, again, that deal, the tricky bit was we initially, when it came in the market, we put a really low offer in it, and it actually someone else took it. It didn't come to us, and then eventually they couldn't get finance on it. And then when it came back in the market, I was the first one walking in, and I said, "Look, I had a previous offer. I'm going to improve that offer, give you a little bit more." And then they said yes. It was still a very good discount, but even till the last day, I didn't know if we were going to get the deal. Like, they could easily pull out, and even when we ended up getting the deal, there was lots of tricky bits, like the electric. There was loads of electric issues. There was water pressure issues. There was, loads of rooms that were not being used. We had to do a refurb on them. We're still dealing with some of those issues. Don't get me wrong. We did this deal like 3 years ago. So none of this is simple and straightforward. However, the ecosystem, like I said, we've created is a lot more simpler. But the smaller hurdles in the property business, they still have to be dealt with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I appreciate that. And I suppose a lot of people will take a lot away from that. I do have a couple of closing questions. And my first one would be, if anyone watching what we're recording today and they're keen to get into your side of property, and I'm talking not the buy-to-lets, we're talking more development or the hotel-y side of things, what would you advise they do first? How do they go about it?
I'm going to be cheeky and say, speak with me. No, 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 no.
Yeah, you know.
No, and I'll give you an answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I can share with you, which is very interesting, right? Knowledge has no more utility. Let me repeat that again. Knowledge has no more utility. You can go on ChatGPT and gain all the knowledge you want, which is almost unbelievable, right? You can put an address in the ChatGPT, say, give me an appraisal, give me, due diligence on this deal, or ask certain prompt questions and so on and so forth. It can give you loads of like stuff that you do. So anyone who's listening to this, don't pay for trainings. What does have utility these days is what they call agency. Agency means the capability to knock doors and sign up business.
Yeah.
Right? That means learning to see where the deal is. How can you knock that cold door and negotiate that deal, persuasion, and then be able to make a profit from that deal and rinse and repeat, leadership? That's what has utility. So if you want to pay for trainings, pay for leadership and persuasion trainings, but don't pay for property trainings, because you can get most of those trainings from ChatGPT these days. What you do need to know is what kind of prompts you need to ask ChatGPT, or for that matter, many of the other AI tools, the kind of questions you need to ask. And for that, I would say listen to books, listen to podcasts, watch videos like these, the interviews that we are doing. That will help you, but don't pay for trainings. There's no utility in it. You just use ChatGPT. Unbelievably how accurate it's becoming. So start with that. I mean, invest some time into your personal and professional development. That's what the game is. And a lot of people, a lot of people don't do that. My observation is that people come and approach you, they'll jump on a call, and then 15 minutes later, I realize that this guy is not even, like, this guy or the girl is not even serious about what they're asking. And then I stop answering. I stop answering, because what you're asking me is something that ChatGPT or Google can give you an answer. Why are you wasting my time? Right? That means you're not serious about actually investing your time into personal professional development, which means you're wasting my time. And that way you're going to go invest a million other people's time. So it's better you put your time into your personal and professional development. And for that, you don't need initially a lot of people around you. You don't need me. You don't need anyone. Once you get to a certain level of knowledge and understanding, which may only take you maybe 2 or 3 months of focused learning, which you can do online, and then you reach out to someone like you or me and say, well, what is my next step? And the next step normally is, get the leads and start knocking doors, negotiate the leads, negotiate the deals. That's what the game is. Negotiate, like, go and find investors. I mean, we still go and find more investors. We still knock cold doors and speak with landlords, right? And so you can come and shadow us and learn that agency or the capability of knocking doors and getting people to sign up, either it's landlords or investors. That's what has utility, or that's what has value anymore. Otherwise, knowledge has not got a lot of utility anymore.
But even if you do have the knowledge as well, if you don't utilize it or action it, then
no point.
What's the point?
I literally leave people alone when I see they don't do anything very quickly. Because the ones that want to do, they do. The ones who don't want to do, they just waste your time.
But you would be able to fish them out in a few
Very
minutes.
quickly, very, very quickly. That's why I said we've stopped dealing with B2C, it's more B2B.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you, and yeah, and that's very true and encouraging as well. So my last question: if anyone was looking at this, or you were to say one thing about what we've spoken about today, what would you want the listeners to take away from our discussion today? What do you think?
Here is one thing a lot of people don't do, okay, which is very important, right? Clarity is mastery. Okay. Now, when I say clarity, what I mean by clarity is it's not just about learning about property, the personal and the professional development, but it's about knowing, is the property right for you in the first place?
Yeah.
Is it the right tool for you? Is it the right path for you?
Yeah.
And before you start, try and go and shadow some people who are in property and see, is this the right thing for you?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people, when they're doing it, I can tell it's not the right thing for them.
Yeah, definitely.
And so having that clarity of, is this the thing for me, is important. Because you can be in it for the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years and still think, well, I'm not sure if it's the right thing. And you just don't give it your 100%. Okay. So make sure it is the right thing for you. And whatever that right thing could be, I mean, you could be into, art, and you could be into finance, or you could be into sports, or whatever that might be. Find your right thing. What exactly in that right thing, as in, let's say the property, let's say you said property is my path, yes. But then what's inside that property can come later.
Yes.
Or you might say, well, I want to be a musician. What kind of music can come later? But make sure that you know whatever it is that you want to do in the first place. Because I see a lot of people, they talk, they don't do the work. And the reason they don't do the work is not because they procrastinate because they're not interested in what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay. And if they were, they'd actually put the work in.
Yeah, definitely.
And the reason they don't put the work in is because it's just not interested. So you just want to make sure that you are interested in what you're doing. And remember, just don't get me wrong. I mean, even when you say, oh, property is the right thing for me, there's going to be lots of aspects within property that you may not enjoy. Yeah, and that's okay. You delegate, or you eat that frog, right? There's a book called Eat the Frog, right? So whatever it is, you just get it done.
Yeah.
But if it's just really not the right path for you, then you're just not going to make it.
Definitely.
Okay. So just having that clarity is very, very important. Like, unbelievable how many people just don't realize that, like, for me, business is the right path. Okay.
Yes.
And within business, it doesn't really matter what I do. I could be doing property, I could be doing retail, I could be doing tech, I could be doing anything. But business is my thing. So when I'm doing business and I'm doing closing business deals, I mean, I signed up. When I say signed up, I agreed a deal verbally yesterday where we are looking after the tech side of 2 hotels.
Yeah.
That's still business.
Yeah.
And I was so excited because I have agreed a deal.
Yeah.
Right? So business is my thing. Within business, what I do, that's irrelevant. I can be doing anything. But make sure that whatever you do, it is your thing. That's very important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So clarity is mastery. I've enjoyed talking to you today. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I've learned so much as well. A lot of nuggets to take away. And I really, really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. And definitely we will touch base soon. And thank you so much for being on Property Talk with KMO. And do have a lovely day. Take care now.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye now.